Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. As-salatu salam ala Rasulillahi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Halim wa salim bikum, my dear brothers and sisters, and those wherever you may be. Let me give you my felicitations. Assalamu alaikum, rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, lil ikwani wati fi din. Salamu mani taba huda. Lil ikwani wati fi Africa, Europa, wa America, wa Caribbean, wa kuli makan. Anjurama to my dear brothers and sisters of the Fulby community. And today, my brothers and sisters, I'm going to touch on, it's a sensitive topic, but it's a topic that needs to be discussed as far as I'm concerned. Because we're at a critical stage now where we're having heads of state in the Sahel under a charter, and they're asking other Muslims to go kill other Muslims in Niger. And to make this matter even worse, you're talking about kinship. And you're asking, especially the Hausa and the Fulani, to leave their areas of West Africa under ECOWAS to go into Niger and to kill other Fulani and Hausa. Because that's what it's going to be a tantamount to. And this is a serious situation we have now. And we're almost at the brink where there's talk that this could happen. We get misinformation where no, they're not considering, but then you'll find some else where they're making mass buildup to get ready to invade Niger. The Russian president, who's embroiled in his own situation now with the Wagner chief who died in a plane crash. It was confirmed. The DNA was done, and one of the passengers was definitely the Wagner chief, and so we have that saga. But the President Putin of Russia has warned the West, in particular, don't make the mistake and invade Niger. He's even told he will even supply those who want to protect Niger. It'd be Algeria, because Algeria said they're not going to allow for a incursion inside Niger to topple it, where it'll send thousands of refugees to Algeria. They don't want that, and they'll probably end up going into Morocco as well. So they're going to fight. That means the Russians most likely may supply them. They will supply definitely Mali and Burkina Faso. You know, in Niger now, they made a referendum where it gives the okay for their airspace for Mali and Burkina Faso, their armed forces, security forces, to enter the fray inside Niger if the Americans, the French, and the ECOWAS do attack. So we have a serious situation, brothers and sisters. But there's something I uncovered that is very, very, to be honest with you, it upset my stomach. And before we start getting to this, I'm going to add something. The president of Nigeria did give his take by saying he wants to send the ulama back to Niger. That's the clerics. Ulama is the Islamic scholarly class in Islam, and in Arabic we call ulama. So you call clerics in English. He wants to send them back to Nigeria. But here's the funny thing: he's sending another bunch. So the first bunch who went over there has now been removed. Now he's sending another. That in itself kind of gives me the chills. Why did he do that? Because apparently the first group, to me, was successful in mediating. So why would he take these that were successful in mediating and remove them and put in another bunch of scholars? That's suspect. And one of the heads of the first delegation was in Facebook. I was listening to him here earlier. where he was talking about the situation of Niger, and he was giving his proofs against any invasion and killing of other Muslims, because he's a devout Muslim. And so he's given his take in the Hausa language about, about the ECOWAX and so forth and so on. So all these things play into it. But I'm gonna get into something that is very disturbing, and it'll give you a better insight to why me and others like me are being fought. You heard me talk about this for weeks, even though none of us are killing anybody. We're not doing anything to anybody in particular. We're just, and you see these brothers here, according to what has been happening, these brothers here, especially in many places in Africa now, because of the American influence, as you heard me say, they are deemed to be terrorists, criminals. Those should be aligned. Many may not even be able to travel to other countries because of these so-called programs. And this is a shame. And so now I want to get into how what they have done to basically to stop us from any participation. See, and they want to get it to the point where they are, or excuse me, I'm trying to get something here. Okay, yeah, where they will not be influenced. But brothers and sisters, I'm gonna give you something here. Now you would understand, and you'll see the other side of this coin, how evil this is. I pose this question to you. Does the ECOWAX chapter supersede Sharia law? According to the African Union and according to ECOWAX, it does. I'm looking at the chapters here. I was reading some of the chapters of the ECOWAX and also the AU, which is backing it. And I'm telling you, it upset my stomach. Because essentially here is telling all of us and all the brothers in ulama, wherever you may be, you should be fighting against this. You should get this charter and read it. And you should be all over the heads of state if you can, to combat this, because this is out and out kufr. It's out and out kufr. And none of us as Muslims should be, or should back this or even codify it or anything like this, or even advocate, because this is apostasy. And to kill your Muslim brother for this charter, which violates the Sharia law, that chapter runs contrary to Quranic law. Now, let's look at this for what it is. The Fulani brothers are everywhere. We know that. And our Hausa brothers are generally the same. But the Fulani we know are more, all over the place. We know that. And again, the ECOWAX is made up of a body of many different militaries of many of the West African states. We have Fulani and Hausa, we have Bambara, we have Mandinka, we have Mende, we have Tiv, we have, Capelli. We got all kind of ethnic groups who make up the ECOWAX military. And these things, they're asking them to come into Niger and to kill your kinfolk over this charter, this ECOWAX charter. It's illegal, brothers and sisters. It is illegal. Don't get swayed into it. You pick up a gun under this chapter, you have to swear to it, and then you go under the orders of this charter. Everyone, you should read this charter. It's disgusting. You go there and you kill a Muslim under this charter. You've committed murder under the Sharia. And you're going to be part of the people of the fire. That's the bottom line. And after reading this here, it upset my stomach. It did. It really did. And it's very upsetting. And I'm urging my brothers and sisters, or Fulani, Hausa, I don't care if you Bambara, I don't care if you Mendinka or Mende, I don't care if you Wolof, I don't care what you are. You should be very cognizant of this ECOWAX charter and the AU's charter as well, because it gives you the license to kill your brother. And it's wrong, but it doesn't give you a license to kill the Tubab. That's something different, but it gives you the license to kill your fellow Africans, especially when there's something going on in that state. And, even if something is wrong, under the Sharia law, we have some strict guidelines to that. You heard me talk about for weeks. The Sunnah of the Nabi, alayhi salatu wasalam, the book of leadership, one who fights for no real cause. Now listen to this, brothers and sisters, Muslims. Those who fight for no real cause. The ECOWAX chapter is no real cause, and they die in this cause. The Muslim dies a death of ignorance. Listen to me, brothers and sisters. You pull up the evidence. The Muslim dies in a state of ignorance because you are asked to kill righteous and wicked alike. And it doesn't pay attention to those who are protected covenant with the Muslims, meaning non-Muslims, other type of Muslims, you kill them in the fray as well. This is why the ECOWAX chapter is not right. Again, you die in the death of ignorance. Also in that is the part of thought. I gave a class on this, I think maybe about a year ago, because time is really flying. And you are bounded by a Muslim to give your, what we call bay'ah to a Muslim ruler. But you can't give a bay'ah today with those who are we know today as governing. They cannot, because they're not ruling according to the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. So we give bay'ah, and there's a hot dispute among the ulama everywhere in the world today about this issue, because the Prophet ﷺ said, if you do not give your bay'ah before you die, then you die in a state of ignorance. But what we have today, you have ECOWAX chapter. You have a ruler who's pushing the ECOWAX chapter. I'll get into some of this. Now, how are you going to give bay'ah to him when you know this is ignorance and this is kufr, what this he's advocating? Then he's telling you and me to go fight, go across the border to a land of our other brothers, the Hausa brothers and Fulani brothers, and you ask me and others like me to go there to fight our brothers and kill them over this chapter, this ECOWAX chapter. And it pushes democratic ways and means. Then it calls for you to kill the righteous and the wicked, meaning the criminals, the non-criminals, the imam who is innocent, who's inside of his masjid, who walks out. You given the right to kill him in that state, because under this charter you can enter into there and to bring constitutional order. You will have Muslims and a scholarly body say, look, this is not right what you do. Get out of here, and you shoot and kill him. You go and you put a gun to his face and say, no, you will accept democratic ways and means. He says, no, I will not accept it. You kill him. And he's Fulani, who's Hausa. He's your brother. He's your cousin. Under the Sharia law, we have the right to fight a Muslim, but we must bring him back to the command of Allah. Democratic ways and means is not that. It is not the command of Allah. It is not. So you go to kill your brother over a command of kufr, of the disbelief, and you die in this state, brother. You died in disbelief. You died in the case of ignorance. And you got your brother's blood on your hands. Now you say, yeah, well, I don't get you what you talk about here. The Prophet ﷺ has made it clear in his hadiths and his sayings about the sanctity of the Muslim blood. It is not easy to take my life. Even though the Americans and the other Tubabs, they say, yes, it's easy. It's funny. They switch things around. They come to Muslim countries and they say, no, you can kill Yahya because he's this, he's that. He's a strong Muslim. He goes to the masjid. You can kill him. But you can't go kill a drug dealer. No. Can you go kill a person who's robbing? No. Can you go kill the person who's stealing phones and going in stores and taking things out? No, but you can kill strong Muslims. See, all this has been switched around, and there's a reason for that. See, so they made it halal to kill people like me. Then they made it haram, meaning against, to kill the fasik, the person who's weak in Islam. No, you can't kill him. Those who don't go to masjid, no, you can't kill them. Those who smoke and drink on the street, no, you can't touch them. Those who are fornicating, who are going to whorehouses, you can't touch them either. Those who are prostitutes, you can't touch them. But the ulama, the fuqaha, the intelligent Muslims, strong, you can kill them. According to the American system of justice that they have versed in Islam, you have the right to take their lives. This charter that the ECOWAS is similar to that. The Muslim rulers of ECOWAS aren't acting on the behalf of Muslim Ummah. This is another thing. They're not. And the Prophet said this, the sanctity of the blood of, and wealth, talking about the Muslims. He said, is narrated by Abu Hurairah, that the messenger of Allah said, the whole of the Muslim is sacred to his fellow Muslim, his blood, his wealth, his honor. Now, brothers, you go across the border into Niger and you go kill a Hausa brother who's Muslim. You go kill a Fulani brother who's Muslim, who's tending his cattle. You kill him. Or you kill those who are working and now saying they're backing the government. You see, they're having demonstrations. They're having people who are going to the football stadiums and to back the new government in Niger. Now you're going to invade the land there, and there's many who's there now who are Hausa, many who are there now who are protecting the government or Fulani. You have many who are protecting their livelihood who are Hausa and Fulani. The Prophet ﷺ says the whole of the Muslim is sacred to his fellow Muslim. That means me and you, we can't just enter Niger and kill them based upon the whim of the disbelievers and some charter that's not sanctioned by Allah. You can't do it, brothers and sisters. You can't do it. Don't follow that. I know what I'm asking. I know it's not difficult because it's not easy to have jobs, and it's easy to go to police. It's easy to go to the military and situations like this because you want to feed your family. But now you're asked to do something. They're telling you, hey, you got to go to Niger and you got to go there and kill your cousin. And because you kill him for what? Are you killing to bring him to the command of Allah? No, you're not. See, you're killing them because of this chapter. Now, there's a writer who's backing the play. Okay, he's not a Muslim. You know what? I don't know. He may, because he has a last name that's Islamic, but he's a modern Muslim because no scholarly Muslim would write such a thing. And I'm gonna tell you something. Be frank with you, brothers and sisters. These brothers who are doing this stuff today, they should be happy and they should be kicking their heels and clapping that they're not in the time of Usman Den Fodio. They should be happy that they're not operating in the time of Samari Toure. They should be happy that they're not operating in the time of Askia Mohammed. They should be happy also that they're not operating in the time of Omar Dal. They would have took their heads. For any brother Muslim to write and to sanction such a thing like this, they wouldn't have put up with it. You see what Usman Den Fodio, what he wrote when he went and he had to go and take out some rulers because of these very things like this. See, and he it says here the sense. Okay, let me see here the legal argument. He talks about the constitutional change inside the Niger, that is high treason to anyone who takes out the democratic credentials. Now, it doesn't give room for any Sharia law. It's only for democratic ways and means. This is a Muslim state. It's unconstitutional, it says, for the new head to overthrow this government because what it's doing. Let's go back and revisit something, brothers and sisters, before I go back here. Why did this brother who's Hausa say he took out the ex-president who's what? Afro-Arab, because he gave away 95% of the wealth. The people are struggling in that country. It's been under dire straits for decades. It's the second poorest country in the world. It shouldn't be. It should be one of the richest countries in the world, with all of the diamonds, gold, and bauxite, uranium. They should be so rich that they don't have enough. They couldn't spend that money in their lifetime. Each person would have this amount of money according to the market today. They sell this uranium, which is needed by all of the Western powers and others now who have submarines and who has atomic bombs and all this other stuff. They need this material. They sell it at market value. Do you know the trillions and trillions that they will command? That's just one mineral. How about the gold? How about the diamonds? But you see what I mean? Niger would be a rich, rich, rich country. So here they talk about is high treason, and it talks about that all the threat of Republican forms of state and democratic institutions is a crime of high treason punished such by law. Is therefore, despite the success of the coup, the military intervention remains against the Constitution of the Republic of Niger. Okay. The ECOWAS is one of the African Union regional economic communities, it says, and was established pursuant to the Treaty of Lagos and May the 28th, 1975, and revised in 1993. Under the ECOWAS treaties, which Niger is founding member, signed, member states of ECOWAS agreed to be bound by the provisions of this treaty, meaning democratic ways and means. There's no room for Sharia law. It is no room for it, brothers and sisters. According to this, there's no room for it. You or me who wants to come in to bring Sharia law, this is against the AU's charter. This is against the ECOWAS charter. It is under international law. Once a country signs and ratifies the treaty, the ratification creates a legal obligation on that country to be bounded by the provisions of that treaty, meaning democratic ways and means will be promoted in that land and governed only. Now, I ask you Muslims, I ask you to ask your leaders a question. Who supersedes what? Does the ECOWAS charter and the AU charter supersede Sharia law? I'm a Muslim. It does not. And all the Muslim scholars know the same thing. Rightful scholars will say it doesn't. Those who may be paid under the table may argue some points here and there, but they are wrong. There's nothing superseding Sharia law. And you are bound not to follow it. You heard me talk about this weeks ago about the prophet says, disobey the rulers when they give you something involving kufr or is against the commands of Allah. This is the command. This is against the command of Allah, brothers and sisters. It's against the command of Allah. And it will lead to destruction of any state. This is why you see we're in a state that we're in now, because the command of Allah is being pushed away by our leaders. Now, Article 45 of the protocol relating to the mechanism of conflict prevention, management, resolution, peacekeeping, security provides that where the authority of the government is absent or has been seriously eroded. Now, why they didn't come into Niger to go talk to the Niger president when they see people eating out of trash cans, people that don't have food and water? And when he gave 95% of his wealth to the French, the Americans, and Germans, and other Europeans, 95%, and he kept 5%. 3% probably went in his pocket and the others, and 2% went to the people. And people don't even have running water anywhere and stuff like that. Their electricity is bad. They have to go get subsidies from other African states in order to survive when he's got wealth that will bring trillions every year. So that's absent where the authority of government is absent or has been seriously eroded. Niger their way of life was surely eroding, okay, to the point where people were erupting. People were upset. You had wholesale murder of Fulani inside Niger as well. And you have ethnic strife because now the piece of pie is small. Instead of a big plate of pie, that can be divvied out to the Tuareg, to the Arabs, to the Fulani, to the Hausa, and to the Bambara, and to the Dogon. No, a small piece was left, and now everybody's fighting for it. That's why you have ethnic strife, because when there's only 2 watermelon there, and you have to feed 5 different groups from 2 watermelon, you're going to have conflicts. See? So such support may include preparation, organization, monitoring, management of electoral process, but the cooperation of relevant regional and international organizations. Code word, Western interference. TUBOB, Western interference, is the code word for international organizations, meaning they can come in to help to intercede inside your country. The registration of political authority should be undertaken as the same as the development of respect. By the same token, Article 45 of the Protocol of Democracy and Good Governance. Now, Sharia law is not mentioned. It's not good governance. It's not, they saying that Protocol on Democracy and Good Governance, they lump the two together, is what they're talking about. Sharia law is not. They'll fight you for that. And this is why they fight you. That's why they fight me. That's why the Fulani herdsmen. That's why the Afro-Tuareg groups like Ansar Deen, Ansar Sharia, and so forth and so on. The Messina group and all these other militias who now are tired of living under this kufr, this Article 45, who promotes democracy, calling it good governance. It is not good governance. The people would not be erupting if we had good governance. And so they said, look, I'm tired of this. I want to be ruled by the Sharia law where we can protect our people. This is why we have the fight, because they know probably better than I do about this chapter. An event that democracy is abruptly brought to an end by means. In a member state, ECOWAS must impose sanctions on that state concerned and reserve the right to trigger provisions of Article 45 of the Protocol of December 10, 1995. I know this is mundane to a certain degree because I'm going through law and so forth and so on. But this man who's supposed to be Muslim, he is basically given the okay that they should make military intervention into Niger to bring back, quote unquote, democratic ways and means. This charter is devoid of Sharia law. It's not the command of a law as well. And the Muslims who write this, who back this, should be ashamed of themselves. So there's a lot to this, brothers. I won't read all of it, but there's a security agreement as well, and whatnot. This is atrocious. It's atrocious. It's a shameful thing that me as an African, and it's hypocritical. I'll say this and I get off this. Article 51 says empowers countries to engage in self-defense, including collective self-defense against an armed attack. It provides that nothing in the present charter shall impair or inherent right of collective or individual self-defense if an armed attack occurs against a member of the United Nations. Interesting. And Security Council has taken the measures to maintain international peace and security. They given rights to protect the TUBOB and their organizations, but this here does not protect you and me. What a shameful, shameful charter this is of the ECOWAS and the AU. Brothers and sisters, this is a sad epitaph for the African people. And any of us, we should go and hit the books and read these things with the ECOWAS. You should be made aware, because they may take you may say, oh, you know what, I'm sitting here in the Gambia, I'm sitting here in Guinea Conakry. Yeah, that's what the Nigerians and the Niger. But you know what? They could call you up and call your son to go fight, and your son is Fulani. They may just call your son up, who's Hausa, to go into Niger and to kill his kinfolk. You should understand what they may ask of you, my dear brothers, everywhere in the Sahel. And you should understand the Sharia law. And you have a choice. And you're not protected and you're not martyred. If you go under the command of this charter here, you're not martyred, because this is not the command of Allah. Now, you say, with proof. I talked about this weeks ago. Surah 49, verse number 10. Verse number 9, Chapter 49, Hujurat, verse number 9. Subhanahu wa ta'ala says, if two parties among the believers fall into a quarrel, make ye peace between them. Peace between them. But if one of them transgress beyond bounds against the other, then fight ye all against the one that transgress until it all complies with the command of Allah. It didn't say democratic ways and means. Subhanahu wa ta'ala does not sanction this governance. He says the command of Allah is democratic ways and means, command of Allah. I ask you that, my dear brothers and sisters, Muslims. Is democratic ways and means the command of Allah? If it was revealed by Subhanahu wa ta'ala, who did he reveal it to? Did he reveal it to Moses, alayhi salatu? Did he to Abraham? No. To Yunus? No. Did he reveal it to Jesus, alayhi salatu? No. Did he reveal it to Prophet Muhammad, alayhi salatu? No, he did not. So why are you backing it, and why are you ruling under it when it was not a command of Allah? Now, but if it complies, then make peace between them with justice and be fair, for Allah loves those who are fair. The one who transgresses until he complies with the command of Allah. We have history of that. I won't get deep into that. Remember, you have two warring parties. We got two parties who are very angry with each other. In this instance, let's use something different. Let's look at, say we have the Mendinka and we have the Fulani. We had this conflict under under Samari Toure back in the mid 1800s. Okay, and I'm gonna get to him one of these days. He wrote a beautiful letter about this, about the Fulani. Beautiful letter in Arabic language about the Fulani. But you have two. You have to say you have the Fulani, you have the Imam of the Fulani who are in this area, and then say you have the Mandinka. They're arguing because of grazing rights, I'm saying, for instance, and waterways. So they begin to take war. Now, Nigeria, ulama looks at that, and maybe some of the brothers that come in and say, hey, look, you guys are wrong for fighting. Say the Mandinka says, okay, I don't care, and they continue to fight and they kill Fulani. Now, we can fight the Mandinka brother because he's transgressed, okay, to bring him back to the Sharia law. This is how our law works. Now, we have, and the second part of this, when you have governance, the Niger government, okay, was wicked. You have to say that. I don't care how many times you see the president, ex-president smile and shaking hands of the Tuba. It was a wicked government because he gave all the wealth away and kept his people poor. Now you go to replace him and you replace him with another government that is just as bad or wicked, you cannot do it. The only time you can replace him is if you're going to replace him with Sharia law. You can do that if it's open kufr that they uncovered in the land. And there's other rules to this. Now, those in Nigeria, those who are in Chad, those in Togo and Benin and in Ghana, across the board, Cote d'Ivoire, Liberia, Sierra Leone, the Gambia, Guinea, Conakry, Bissau, Equatorial Guinea, all those areas, Senegal, Mali, going across Mauritania, all these across the land. Can you enter that country to fight me, to bring me to democratic ways and means? No, you cannot. That's why I said to you, brothers and sisters, this is a serious matter. And if you Muslim, you should be very, very concerned, because we have sons that may be asked to go fight in Niger, to get killed over there under this democratic charter, okay, and for ECOWAS, when it's kufr, it's disbelief. and I don't want my son, I would do everything to protect my son. I would not let him go join these services to go run into Niger and kill his kinfolk. I will not. Now, my son will be authorized if they're running the Sharia and they transgress. We go to our brother and say, hey, you know the Sharia law. You know we're supposed to do this. He tells you, no, you can fight him to bring him back. But you cannot fight a brother who's running the Sharia law, who wants the Sharia, and then you fight him to bring him back, to bring him to democratic ways. That's cool for brothers and sisters. You can't do it. And they're going to ask your sons and daughters if this war break out across all these countries I just named, across the Sahel and the coastal Western African states, to go fight the Fulani and Hausa in Niger. And you're going to fight him for what? What kind of jihad is this? Is the jihad fi sabilillah? No, it is not. Is it sanctioned by Allah? No, it is not. Is it under the command of Allah? No. Is it under the command of the Prophet? No. Is ECOWAS approved by Subhanahu wa Ta'ala? No. Is the ECOWAS and its charter approved by the Torah? If you're a Christian? No, it is not. Did any of the prophets of old sanction this type of thing? No, they did not. You get my point, brothers and sisters? I have an easier chance to talk about this because I know many of my scholarly brothers in Nigeria and other places, the Gambia, they can't talk. I understand that. And they probably feel the same way and may add more to what I'm saying. And they may not be able to say anything, but I know in their heart they want changes, but we have conditions to that. I won't get deeper into that, but I feel for my ulama and fuqaha in West Africa, because many of our brothers cannot talk. And they may be able to talk, but they can only skirt around certain things. They cannot, because they have livelihoods and the government may come after their families. I understand that. And and some of the governments are more ruthless than the others. They may jail their sons, or they may go jail their wife, or his son goes down the street and thugs having to get him and beat him. We know these things to happen because they're after the scholars big time. And now you understand why. We Muslims cannot make an Islamic pledge to such rulers. You cannot, brothers. If you look at how you make bay'ah in Islam, I gave a class on this. It is very, very easy, but it's telling as well, because there's things that are uttered from the mouth, and democratic ways of mean is not uttered from the mouth. Because when you go to that ruler, you're saying that you give your bay'ah to him because he's following the what? The Quran and the Sunnah. That's some of the verbiage that is used by the Sunnah in order for you to back a ruler. That's right, brothers and sisters. When you make bay'ah, that means the Islamic pledge, and you go to shake his hand, or you say you're gonna give him, you giving your bay'ah because he swears to that he will abide by the Quran and the Sunnah. You show me what ECOWAS leader today is abiding by the Quran and the Sunnah. You can't give bay'ah to him. You cannot, brothers and sisters. I'm sorry. That's just the way it is. You cannot. And the fitna that they cause, because our prophet said we must give our allegiance, our ta'at, in Arabic, to some leader. You cannot, for these people in ECOWAS. How can you? They don't follow the commands of Allah. Even their charter does not even mention Allah's name. In the charter, it doesn't even mention anything about our prophet, alayhi salam, or his sunnah, or his laws. They're not there. And I have the proof of it here. And so, and we get more into this. The ECOWAS chapter divides the Muslim Ummah. Look at it, brothers and sisters. Let's look at the frame of the Sahel in particular. We have brothers like me who say no to this ECOWAS chapter and to go into Niger to go kill Fulani and Hausa, because we know what the Quran says, and we know what Subhanahu wa Ta'ala says. He tells us here clearly in Surah 49, verse 9, that parties among the believers into a quarrel. We must make peace between them. Our ulama in Nigeria is trying to do that. And to one who transgresses against the other, we can fight him until we can bring him back to the commands of Allah. Our ulama is trapped because the junta that's in Nigeria and Niger now are not going by the command of Allah. Those, the Ecowacs, who want to go and fight and kill Fulani and Hausa are not going by the command of Allah either. This is where the fitna, excuse me, in Arabic means tribulation, a trial, a very harsh trial. This is fitna in Arabic language, okay? So it puts them in a very precarious situation. But I say this to all my brothers and sisters who are through the Sahel and elsewhere. You guard your sons. You guard your sons. Don't let them fall prey to this ECOWAX chapter stuff. Brothers and sisters, it's deadly. You're asking to bring your son there to go kill other Muslim and other Africans for no reason. And the brothers and sisters who in Niger, they have the right to fight you, my brothers, who entered into their land. They have a right, and they will be martyred because you're killing them outright. They have a right to protect themselves and their family and their way of life and their communities. That's where they are martyred. If they're martyred, they go as that. You who have invaded them and you try to kill them, he kills you first. You're not martyred. And when you were asked in the grave, they said, well, Yahya, you went over to fight in Niger and you were killed. What command were you using? You will not be able to lie at this time because you're in the grave and you cannot say, I was following the command of Allah. You were not. I was in jihad fi sabilillah. You are not. You're following a chapter from what the Tuba says. And speaking of that, it's out now because the diplomatic corps of the United States, the State Department, made reference to give it up by telling that they're in contact with the Nigerian president and other ECOWAX presidents. Huh. Interesting, isn't it? They admit it. They're in constant contact with them. Why do you think they're back in their play for them to go to kill? Because the ex-president of Niger, Mohamed Bazoum, was friendly to America. He was friendly to all of the Europeans. And he's told them, say, hey, here's the wealth, you take it. Oh, you want an army base? Go ahead and put your army base here. I'll let you use that army base so you can attack the Fulani herdsmen inside Nigeria. Or you can go after the Fulani herdsmen and the Messina group and the Afro-Arabs from my homeland. See, this is a serious matter, brothers and sisters. It's a serious matter, very serious matter. And here, I'm trying to get my other book here. I'm getting close to closing here, brothers and sisters. I want to give you something else too. The Prophet ﷺ has a ruling about one who seeks to divide the Muslims when they are united. You have the ulama, the fuqaha of Islam, or scholarly body. I gave a class one time about we must respect them. Subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving them a special covenant. They are special human beings. Now, does it mean that they're infallible? No, that doesn't mean that. They're human. They will commit, every human being commits sins every single day. I don't care who you are. It's just that they commit less and they don't commit major sins. Our Prophet ﷺ knew the future. He knew situations like this was going to pop up. He knew that. He says the ruling on one who seeks to divide the Muslims when they are united. There will be a fitna and innovations. We see that today. We have fitna and innovations. We have the Tubab Americans and their governments coming here, changing the meaning of the Quran. I see this all the time. I hear it all the time when those who follow this, who are being paid, come to me and they change the words of Subhanahu wa ta'ala. The other day, I was coming back from the masjid. And there was one guy, I know he was brought there. He had a vicious dog with him. He was there for that purpose only. to wait for me to come, and he'd turn his dog loose on me. When his dog was about to come, I yelled out to him. I said, Allahu Akbar. This is something that you can do when you have vicious dogs, because dogs are no different than other animals. They make dhikr, meaning remembrance to Allah. They do. They make remembrance because they understand there's a supreme being. They understand this. When you use the words of Allah, it does affect them. Some more than others. Some may not be, they may not listen to this, and you have to take defense. But when you say Allahu Akbar to him, he understands Allah. This dog began to come my way. He was in the dark. I saw him, and suddenly he released his dog. I'm coming back from the masjid. This is by design. You know what he said to me? He told me that he was protected under Surah Kaf. I asked him, I said, dear brother, I said, do you know this important chapter of the Quran about the Prophet ﷺ? Where'd you get that you can use a dog on a Muslim coming out of the masjid, and you use this vicious dog to go harm him? He said he was protected by this particular chapter. He's getting this from the disbelievers who are corrupting the Quran. Whoever wants to divide this ummah, when it is united, strike him with the sword, no matter who he is. We're not at the point where we're getting close to this point that the Prophet ﷺ talked about this issue. But we have people who have dividing, because the Prophet ﷺ, remember, he said, he asked subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect the ummah from all of the negative forces. He said, yes, but those, the hypocrites in it, he's not going to do anything until Yom Kiyama against them. So these type of people here who sow the seeds of deceit among the Muslims, who outwardly appear to be Muslims, but inwardly they're not. And you know the ruling about that. We cannot judge the heart because we do not know the heart, but we can judge the actions of the heart. When that Muslim, you see him at the masjid, you see him in there praying, but then he comes out and you see him going after other Muslims. You judge him for what you see him there. You can't judge what's in his heart. See, this is the ruling. So his actions is Abu Bakr Radwanha, who said, he said that we cannot judge the heart, but we can, because the heart speaks, we cannot judge the what's concealed in the heart, but the actions speak for the heart. Meaning, again, as I gave this analogy, I told my brothers who saw me coming out of a crack house, okay, they smoking crack there, smoking hashish. I be going there, they see me 3-4 times a week, go there. I keep telling everybody, oh, I'm a strong Muslim, I'm a devout Muslim, I'm this, I'm that. But he catch me every day at 6 o'clock coming back from the crack house. You can judge me according to my actions. This is what we're talking about here. But the provisions of changing the Quran and the Sunnah is serious business, and it's going everywhere. I'll give you some of the silly stuff that is being perpetrated by security forces. I was in a dispute one day when they came and told me I can't go to the masjid. The brothers, these two brothers come to talk to me. I saw them do something, it was bizarre. The adhan was showing they're near the masjid. I saw them make takbir. This is an innovation that the Prophet was talking about, fitna and innovations. They were making takbir outside the masjid, and they walked on. So when I went and asked this guy, who I know is after me, I asked him, I said, what are you doing? He said, well, we have a ruling. He says, we can make takbir and give the niyyah that we want to pray, but we don't have to pray. This is what I'm talking about. These type of innovations of fitna like this. The others, they said, you don't have to pray at all except on Fridays. This type of stuff is running everywhere through Sahel, everywhere nowadays. And the ulama and fuqaha can't combat it because they're not allowed to combat it. The Americans, the Europeans, and so forth push this type of disbelief and allow this to reign supreme in Muslim lands. The man who uses a dog against the Muslims who's going to the masjid, or Muslims coming out of the masjid, he says he's protected because the Tubab told him he's protected under Surah 9. Surah Kaf. You see, these type of innovations and perverting the words of Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, this is a serious matter. When they tell you, ECOWAS tell you, my son, he said, look, we want your son to join. He get a salary, and I want him to go into Niger to go fight the Hausa and the Fulani in Niger. And when I ask this commander who comes to me and asks me for my son to join this, I ask him, where's your proofs in the Quran? He can't give it. If he gives me a lie, I said, no, I know the Quran very well and the tafsir of it. You show me in there where the proofs of what you're advocating for my son to do. They cannot. Be very wary, brothers and sisters, what you follow. We can fight our brother when he transgresses from the truth and bring him to the truth. Democratic ways and means are not the truth. Now, brothers and sisters, I'm not talking about issues of common theft. You got, I don't care if it's democratic ways and means or the Sharia law. You live in the United States. You have no right to steal. You have no right to steal people's property. You have no right to take people's money unjustly. You have no right to take one's life unjustly. We're not talking about that. We're talking about other things. We're talking about things like this, where we go to invade based upon a charter and to go kill somebody that's not approved by a law. And democratic ways and means is not the truth. Because again, I ask anybody, I'm talking about Christians and Muslims alike, Hebrews, you give me the proof that says that democratic ways and means is approved under the Torah. I want somebody to prove that Jesus ﷺ received the command from Allah that says that the ways of disbelievers is what we're supposed to use. Jesus ﷺ said, I'm here not to tear down the Torah, I'm here to enforce it. How about Moses ﷺ? He was given a charter, he was given Sharia. Where's that Sharia? That's where the democratic ways and means fit in there. There's none. You see what I'm talking about, brothers and sisters? I don't want to be held in the day of judgment following this type of thing that has been advocated by ECOWAS and those who follow that. You be mindful, brothers and sisters, before you want to go and pick up a gun and go kill your Fulani brothers and Hausa brothers. You should be very, very careful of that. You should follow the Sharia law. You are commanded to follow that. Don't follow these leaders who back in this type of kufr. The command of Allah and that of the Nabi ﷺ orders to adhere to the protection of honor, blood, wealth of another Muslim. Removing him from power to institute a more wicked governance is not approved. The brothers have spoken. The people have spoken in Niger. The Constitution, yes, they have constitutional law. This is an internal matter between the people of Niger. It's not an internal matter for those in Morocco. It's not us for those in Egypt. It's not for us and those in Nigeria. Those people were tired in Niger. Why do you think they're hitting the streets in what? In jubilation that this president was overthrown? Right or wrong, that's what they decided. It's not for you, me, or anybody in Ghana or Togo or Nigeria or the Gambia or Guinea-Conakry, Equatorial Guinea to go in and to go to those people of Niger, our brothers there, and go fight them and kill them to bring them to the wickedness of democratic ways and means. Because under the democratic ways and means, you have the right. The Tubab can come in and out of that country when they want. The Tubab can get citizenship without a mere nothing. The Tubab can do just about everything he wants in the land. The Tubab can orchestrate and control your military and your security forces. This is under democratic ways and means, under command of the law, under the Tawheed Allah, under Sharia Allah, under the Sharia of the Prophet ﷺ. He cannot do that. That's why he fights for that. That's why he fights against those who advocate the Sharia and call me a terrorist, call me a criminal. He goes and gets a man and pays him to bring a dog to attack me when I come out of the masjid. This is what I'm talking about. This type of thing like this. This wicked governance, to reinstall a form of governance, is strictly forbidden and may raise to disbelief. Democracy isn't a jihad. Brother, sister, listen to that. Democracy isn't a jihad. If you go in it, it's not jihad. It's not jihad according to the Quran and the Sunnah. It doesn't fall under the shade of the Quran and the book of jihad. It doesn't, brothers and sisters. If you are a Muslim, you are bounded by these laws, not by the laws of democratic ways and means, because it's not a jihad. To struggle in it is not jihad. Yes, if you're a policeman, yes, you can walk the streets to prevent those to steal, those to rob me on the street, or you go and stop burglaries inside the stores, or you go to enforce common laws. We're not talking about that, brothers and sisters. We're talking about things where you go and fight and kill Muslims unjustly. This is what we're talking about. And ECOWAS is asking for that. Because the Americans, the State Department admitted they're in cahoots. They're talking to the ECOWAS. Who you think? ECOWAS will attack if the Americans finally give them the order to do it. Because ECOWAS and the Americans have a mithaq, an agreement. They work with one another in violation of Surah 5, verse 51, where it says you don't take the Christians and Jews like this as your friends and protectors. If you do, you are among them, meaning you are now in disbelief. You are among those people, those disbelievers. This is why I'm saying, brothers and sisters, when we as Muslims get involved in things like this, where we want to attack and kill other Muslims, please be mindful of what Subhanahu wa Ta'ala says. You go to the rightful scholars in your land and ask them, is this right? Don't commit your sons and daughters to go to the military, to go into Niger, to go kill your Fulani and Hausa brothers. Don't do it. This is not jihad. And when they go get killed in Niger, they're not martyred. Those brothers and sisters in Niger has spoken. They said they backed the junta. They're now everywhere. They're in parades backing they're ready to take up arms against ECOWAS. They're ready to take up arms against the Nigerian security forces who enter into the land. They're ready to fight to the death, to fight the Tubab who enters into the land. They're ready, along with their Burkina Faso brothers and Mali brothers, and now even the Russians who are Tubab. They said they're going to back the junta there in Niger. They're going to back the brothers from Burkina Faso and the brothers in Mali. And anyone else who wants to go to join to protect that. Algeria said they will not stand by to see an invasion. It's a mess, brothers and sisters. You as Muslims should understand what Subhanahu wa Ta'ala calls for. Even if your scholars are quiet, you must hit the books. I'm getting close to prayer time, my brothers and sisters, for Maghrib. So those who are eager to run into Nigeria and kill your Hausa and Fulani brothers, beware of this disobedience to the command of Allah. It's ignorance and devoid proofs from the Quran and the Sunnah. There's no proof for what they're asking you to do. The charter, you read the charter, brothers and sisters, there's no mention of Allah in it and his laws or the Sunnah of the Prophet Islam. There's none. The advocates of the ECOWAS chapter and the AU chapter says, show me, I'm asking anybody, show me the proofs in the shade of the Quran and Sunnah. Show me how the Muslim is martyred fighting, killing, and ultimately being killed. Where? How is that? See, there's no proofs they can provide. So, brothers and sisters, this is another hard-hitting talk that I had, because a lot of times you're not going to get this elsewhere. And I'm going to talk it, and I'm going to tell you, because I love my brothers and sisters, Muslims, and non-Muslims alike. Those who don't fight the Muslims, I don't fight them. Even if they're not worshiping Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. They're not fighting the Muslims, I don't fight them. Those who are kind to me, I'm kind to them. See, so, but we have a situation, brothers and sisters, where we have a poor, very, very poor country, the second poorest country in the world. We have a large Hausa and Fulani population in it. Our brothers have been struggling mightily there in Niger under the ex-president who was Afro-Arab. They've been struggling because the Tuareg and the Afro-Arabs and some of the other groups have been very, very heavy-handed on our Fulani brothers in particular, killing them outright. And under the watch of this ex-president, he allowed the foreign forces to help to kill Fulani and Hausa in Niger. This is a very poor country. They need subsidies from other black brothers and sisters, you know, and their commodities in order to survive. When that nation has material wealth and mineral wealth that should make them millionaires, they're living as though they're living in squalor. You got people eating out of trash. You got people drinking putrid water. They don't have toilets. There's things happening, food. There's a lot of things. You have banditry. You have all kinds of stuff happening there. And now they're asking you to go attack our brothers who are already suffering. They suffered under this ex-president. That's why the people are taken to the streets to protect this new junta, because they have hope that they will bring maybe some peace to them, bring some piece of the pie to them, so they have food on their table. We have no right to go there to take that from them, brothers and sisters. I don't care what ECOWAC says. I don't follow them. And as I said before, and I'm adamant about this, if ECOWAC existed or tried to exist during the time of Ousmane Den Fodio, what do you think our ancestral brother would have done to this kufr? How about Samri Touré? What do you think he would have done? How about Idris Oloma? How about him? How about Askil Muhammad, Mansour Musa? You go all the way down the line. How about our famous scholars, Ahmed Baba Sudani? How about him? You think he would have authorized this? No. How about Omar Dab? Would he authorize this? No, he wouldn't have. He would have fought it. How about our Bambara sultanates and our Mandinka sultanates and emirates and all of the Mende and all of these, the emirates and sultans up in Morocco? You had the Sadiyin, you had the Alaween, you have the Murabitun and Muwahidun. You had all of these. They wouldn't have never tolerated this. All you have to do is go back to history. Our brothers are sitting in Nigeria. All you got to do is pick up the books of this famous, beloved Sheikh Islam, Ousmane Den Fodio. Read his treatises that he wrote. And if you go by his guidance, the Fulani problem would be out. The banditry problem would be gone. The problem that we have in Niger will be gone, because the Tubab will not be able to run roughshod and take everything as they please. All this, the poorness and everything that's going on, people eating out of trash, people that don't have food, people drinking squalid water. I mean, all this kind of stuff. If we look at the past, our brothers wouldn't have tolerated it. You should not tolerate it either. Now, I'm not asking for anybody to pick up a gun to go shoot an official. As Muslims, we cannot do that. We can talk against it, like as you hear me do. I'm talking against it, hoping that our brothers come to the right way. I want to protect life. I want peace. And I'm hoping we get it. I hope the ulama from Nigeria, the second delegation that goes there, can bring peace. I don't want to see ECOWAC attack. I don't want to see that, because those people in Niger are already suffering. Our brothers and sisters are backing the junta there. Leave them alone. Let them ferret out what they need to ferret out, and let them sort it out. We send our ulama in there to bring our leaders there in Niger to the right path, to the command of Allah, not the command of democracy. It doesn't work. That's why we have the problems we have today, because of democracy, brothers and sisters. So you got my drift. You've seen where I'm going with this. And this is a serious matter, because I'm going to tell you something right now. In the Sahel, in particular, the Fulani been killed so much. It's time for somebody to talk against this. It's time for some of us to say enough is enough. and they go to kill herdsmen anytime they want across Ghana, against Togo, and other places, Mali, and even Burkina Faso. I think they're going to stop. I hope the brother stops that. They kill outright 500 here, 300 here. This has got to stop. See, and we need the command of Allah. And I will say this, and I will close. I challenge any brother to write me anytime. He writes me and he gives me the proof that shows that democracy is Tawheed Allah. I want to see it. You give me the proof. And any of those who are here to see this, and I'm hoping that you subscribe to my talks and you spread this tape, what I want, if you can prove to me that any of the prophets of old backed democracy, please prove it. They see revelations from Allah. Did Allah or Jehovah or Yahweh or any name that you want to call Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, did he ever send this to any of our beloved prophets? If somebody say, yeah, you give me the proof. I want to see it. Moses, did he receive this? Did Jesus ﷺ receive this calling to democracy? Our prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he didn't. I know that for sure. He's the last remaining prophet. He did not okay that. The command of Allah is what we go by, not the command of ECOWAS and the AU, whose charter is tantamount to disbelief, and it'll bring a brother and sister who's advocating it to apostasy. So I leave you with that, my brothers and sisters. Assalamu alaikum. Rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.